Hi folks! Today I'm going to show you how to take an image like this, which is a JPEG that I've taken from the internet, and create a cut file for it all within Silhouette Studio. So if I drag this onto my mat, my cutting area at the moment, and I go to my send screen, you'll notice it's just a rectangle around the outside. And that's not what we want. We want to be able to cut this out of vinyl. So I'm going to go back to my design. I like working off the mat because then I can see clearly on the grey background what's going on. So this is my JPEG. I've brought it just in from Google, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And in particular, this tutorial is going to show you how to do an image that has a black outline like this. So it's really easy to do within Silhouette Studio. You don't have to use any external software to make this into a cut file. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the trace tool. So this is the fifth icon down. It's a butterfly. This is our trace panel, and I'm going to click select trace area and just draw a marquee around the whole of my image. You notice that the black outline already starts to light up yellow, and we're going to just make sure that that outline is nice and crisp. So I bring my scale down to 4, and then you just want to adjust your threshold to make sure that all of your black outlines are included. If you go too high, you'll start to notice the image filling in with yellow, and this is not what we want. We want just the outline to be selected. So about there for this one, and I'm going to click trace. You want to make sure you're hitting trace and not either of the other two options, and this will give us an image and this cut line. So this cut line could now be just placed onto your mat and cut. I'll show you that's all working. But what I actually want to do is I want to make this so that I can cut out my orange layer, my beige layer, and my pink layer all separately. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this in with white. This just, I find, makes it easier to work with, makes things easier to click on. It's not all that necessary, but I do find it easier. And then we're going to right click on our image and we're going to click release compound path. So what this is going to do, I know it looks a bit scary, is make each shape separate from the outline. I'm going to undo quite a few things in this tutorial as we're going through, so I can show you a few steps along the way. So now that we've got all these separate shapes, you could just take one by one all of these layers and drag them onto your mat and cut them out of orange. But I find that a little bit clunky, and it's also hard to visualize what you're going to be getting once you've completed it. So let me just undo all that. So we've released the compound path, and now we're going to start filling this in with color. So to select multiple objects, you want to click on one object, hold the shift key down, and then continue clicking on other areas of fill. So I'm going to select all the orange areas that I can see. I might miss some because it's a little hard to tell exactly how this is going to look, but we're going to start selecting orange areas. I'm going to go up to this fill panel, and using the eyedropper tool, we're just going to select the orange color from the image. Again, we're going to cut this out of vinyl, so it doesn't have to be exact. You could just pick an orange from the color palette, but this is just going to help us visualize the different colors. So now I'm going to, again, click on the area, hold the shift key down and click again, and we're going to select, just making sure I'm recording, we're going to select all the beige areas for the tail. We're going to do the same thing and select all the body fur colors. And once you've filled in an area, just click off of the image to unselect it. I'm going to select his little ear and fill that in with pink. What else have we got? We've got the little brown of his foot. And this little bit I think is actually just white because that's needs to be cut out from the background. I'm actually going to delete it. I think it's too small and I don't think it really makes that much of a difference in the way the image looks. And her little nose is also brown. One last, and that's the pink love heart. So now we've got all the areas of color filled in. What we're going to do is we're going to click on our background layer and we're going to fill that in with black. And so now you can see the black outline is filled in and it's starting to take shape. We do also have these areas of black which are on the head. So if I click and drag this shape away, you can see that's the outline of the fur on the head. And then you've got the eye as a separate element. And what I actually want is I want this eye to cut out of this layer so that you can see the black layer underneath. So what I'm going to do is undo that. I'm going to select the head and select the 3 bits of black that appear on the head. That's the ear, the eyebrow, and the eye. And I'm going to right click and make compound path. And you'll see now that this is one shape that has the eye and the eyebrow and the ear cut out of it, so that the black from the layer below will be visible. So I'm going to do that again for the mouth and the mouth fur. Make compound path. And the same for the baby's face. We're going to select all the elements that are on the head and the head, and we're going to make compound path. And we're also going to select the black that's behind the love heart and group that together. And so the last step for me would be to make this the size that I wanted on my mat. So I'm actually going to cut this out about this size. You can, of course, size for whatever image you're working on. And what I'm going to do now is select some of the elements that are the same color and just make it a little bit easier for myself. So I'm going to select the two black elements. We can check that they're both selected. And I'm going to Control G or right click and group. Now you can see it's sort of all brought it to the front and it's looking a bit wrong now. So all I have to do is send to back to send that black layer all the way to the back. So now when I click on the black layer to move it out of the way, you can see it comes completely in one group. The next one I'm going to do is the tail fur. Select the three, Control G to group. I'm going to do the body fur. Group that. The two pinks of the ears. The brown of the nose and the foot. And I'm going to do the orange of the fur. Oops. If you accidentally unclick the shift key, sometimes it messes up. So just start again. Making sure I get all the orange bits. Control G to group together. Drag it out of the way. Yep, we can see we've got everything. So now that we're ready to cut, what we would do is you'd take your black layer and you would put that onto your cutting mat. You would load up your black vinyl, you would go to your send screen, and you would cut out the black vinyl. Then you move that off of your mat, load up your orange vinyl, go to your cut screen, cut your orange out, and then you're going to layer that orange on top of your black outline. Again, we're going to do the same with the face fur, the same with the body fur, and then these little bits I would just cut out and manually place as I'm layering my vinyl on my final product. 2 ears, and that's it. I've got a little tiny random bit left over. Now I've just really roughly layered this up, but you can of course make sure this is all aligned perfectly when you create it on your product. But as you can see, that was really easy. We now have a file that we can change the colors of really easily. So say we wanted a really orange fox and we wanted to print this out, we could make it a really orange fox and we could have it with grey fur. Whatever you wanted to do, this is now a file that you're able to edit and play with. So I hope that's helped. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy crafting. Bye.